As enterprises adopt AI, one architectural decision keeps getting ignored. How do LLM requests actually flow through the organization? Most teams start with direct LLM calls. It feels fast. It feels simple. It works, at first. But at scale, direct access creates fragmentation, blind spots, and uncontrolled risk. In this video, I'm going to walk through 10 reasons why LLM gateways are becoming mandatory infrastructure, and why enterprises cannot safely scale AI without them. We'll cover why enterprises can't rely on direct LLM calls, why multi-LLM environments break visibility, why LLM gateways are replacing SDK-based access, why routing logic must be governed centrally, why LLM usage must be policy-aware, why gateways are the choke point for control, why security teams care about LLM routing, why LLM gateways simplify vendor risk, why gateways enable cost and policy enforcement, and why enterprises need a single entry point for AI. Let's start with how most teams begin. Early AI adoption usually looks like this. Developers call LLM APIs directly. It's fast. It's flexible. It avoids friction. But direct calls create problems immediately. No centralized logging. No consistent policy enforcement. No visibility into usage patterns. Every team builds its own logic. Every service behaves differently. Risk fragments silently. Direct LLM access doesn't scale, it just hides complexity. And this becomes worse the moment multiple models enter the picture. Because the second LLM enters the stack, visibility collapses. Most enterprises don't use one LLM. They use OpenAI, Anthropic, open source models, fine-tuned internal models. Each provider has different APIs, different logging, different controls. Without a gateway, usage is scattered across vendors. No one can answer which models are used where, what data flows through them, what policies apply. Visibility dies the moment AI becomes multi-vendor. Which is why SDK-based access starts breaking down. Because SDKs weren't designed for enterprise-wide control. SDKs are developer tools. They optimize for speed, simplicity, local control. But enterprises need centralized policy, consistent enforcement, auditable behavior. Gateways shift control from the application layer to the platform layer. They decouple application logic, model selection, policy enforcement. SDKs don't disappear, but they stop being the control plane. And that raises a critical question. If control moves to the gateway, routing logic becomes a governance problem. Routing decisions aren't neutral. They determine which model sees which data, what cost profile applies, what risk posture is assumed. When routing logic is embedded in application code, policies drift. Exceptions multiply. Audits become impossible. Centralized routing allows policy-based model selection, environment-aware decisions, controlled experimentation. Routing is governance in action. And governance only works if usage is policy-aware. Because raw LLM usage without policy context is dangerous. Most LLM calls are blind to policy. They don't know who the user is, what data is being processed, what regulations apply. Policy-aware gateways evaluate identity, purpose, sensitivity, environment. Without this, the same request may violate policy in one context and be acceptable in another. Policy awareness turns AI from a tool into a governed system. And that makes the gateway the natural control point. Because gateways become the choke point where control actually happens. Every AI request passes through the gateway. That makes it the enforcement layer, visibility layer, decision layer. Without a gateway, control is scattered. With a gateway, control is centralized. This is where guardrails execute, policies apply, decisions are logged. Gateways aren't just infrastructure, they're control planes. And that's why security teams pay close attention. Because from a security perspective, routing is risk. Security teams ask, where is sensitive data going? Which models can see it? What happens if a provider changes behavior? Routing determines exposure. A gateway allows data segmentation, provider isolation, controlled failover. Without it, LLM usage becomes a blind data exfiltration path, which leads directly to vendor risk concerns. Because vendor risk doesn't disappear, it multiplies. Enterprises need flexibility. Models change. Pricing changes. Regulations change. Gateways, abstract providers, enable switching without rewrites. Reduce lock-in. Instead of every team coupling to vendors, the gateway becomes the contract. Vendor risk becomes manageable, not existential. And this also impacts cost and enforcement. Because cost without control is unsustainable. Without a gateway, usage spikes unpredictably. Budgets get blown. Policies are bypassed. Gateways enable rate limiting, quotas, cost-based routing, budget enforcement. They turn AI spend into something measurable and controllable. Which brings us to the final conclusion. Because enterprises don't need more access points, they need fewer. Every unmanaged entry point is risk. One gateway means one place for policy, one place for logging, one place for enforcement. It doesn't slow teams down. It enables them to move safely. At scale, AI needs an entry point, not a free-for-all. LLM gateways aren't about limiting innovation. They're about making AI scalable, secure, and governable. Without a gateway, AI adoption fragments. With one, it becomes infrastructure. And at enterprise scale, infrastructure is everything. Contact us at hello@iagentsflow.com for realizing your enterprise AI vision.